Hey guys, and welcome back to another Rotten Reelz Reviews audio review. We're up to number 17. It just feels like yesterday I started doing this. It wasn't that far off, and well, anyway, moving right along. You might have noticed this week on Rotten Reelz Reviews, blogspot.com, shameless plug, I am referencing a term called horror I missed. Now, that should probably actually be spelled horror I miss, but, I screwed up. So it's just needing for clarification now. But the basis of that, I mean the horror films that genuinely had a scary premise, a more or less original story or idea, or something that was just simply tapped into by a clever writer. So today we explore the dark, disturbing storyline of one Dr. Herbert West, his gruesome experiments, and the impact this H.P. Lovecraft novella had on the screen viewers. This is Re-Animator. Now, as previously mentioned, this is loosely based on the horrific novella Herbert West, Re-Animator, which was brought to us by veteran director Stuart Gordon, who brought us things like From Beyond, Dolls, Robot Jocks, Daughter of Darkness, The Pit and the Pendulum, Fortress, Castle Freak, Space Truckers, Dagon, and even Stuck. And from this is a well-paced... It's weird to give this any categorization because it's got elements of science fiction. It is obviously horror based, but there's also a lot of dark humor attached to it. So it launches so many questions to why anyone would want to put this on film, and probably turn more than a few stomachs with its practical effects, gore gags, and the dark comic slapstick that gets actually done in it. Now, in the University of Zurich Institute, via Switzerland, Herbert West, portrayed by Jeffery, comes of Frightmare, The Man with Two Brains, From Beyond, Trancers 2, The Frighteners. God, I don't even want to guess how many episodes of Deep Space Nine, Dr. Mordred, Voodoo Moon, Star Trek Enterprise. Anyway, he brings his teacher, Hans Gruber, back from the dead, but having some rather horrendous side effects like eyes popping or rocketing out of his head, and also while screaming to the authorities that he in fact brought this man back from the dead. You could see how that might be misconstrued as a bad thing, or, just misinterpretation. So, to avoid the impending expulsion that is looming over his head, West makes his way to the States and enrolls in Miskatonic University via New England. He rents a room from the existing medical student, Dan Kane, played by Bruce Abbott of the Tag, The Assassination Game, Velvet, Command 5, Summer Heat, Bad Dreams, Dark Justice, asked to convert the basement to make it his own private laboratory. Now, Kane feels a little put out by these requests, but desperately needs the money, so he just agrees to the conditions. West is very secretive. He's got a padlock on it, and he's just trying to figure... Kane's just simply trying to figure out what this guy is and what he's about, when West decides, I'll take you under my wing, and proceeds to demonstrate the effects of the formula on Kane's now dead cat, cruelly named Rufus, who died under mysterious terms, is now been brought back from death. The 6-minute barrier for brain death has been conquered to a degree. My favorite aspect is poor Barbara Crampton, a woman who has done everything from Guiding Light, The Bold and the Beautiful, has been relegated to these horror films like Chopping Mall, From Beyond, oddly enough, Re-Animator, Puppet Master, the first one. And she's in generally creeped out by West, his demeanor, his overall attitude, maybe those giant 80s glasses, I don't know. But she catches the tail end of this experiment, freaks out, and immediately runs to her father, who is the dean of the university. But he'll have none of this. It's clearly a hysterical woman. She has ovaries, therefore she must be wrong. Or she imagined it, or she had a bad dream, blah, 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 ad nauseum. So Dan, in fact, goes to the same dean and proceeds to explain that West has conquered death. And, of course, he's convinced that they're both just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, so the dean just bars them from the hospital, so Kane and West have to sneak into the morgue to continue on the experimentation by reanimating a corpse. Now, from the viewer's approximation, the dosage required to bring these people back seems to respond differently to various people. Now, that could be how long they've been dead, age, race, gender. Who really knows, because none of this has been jotted down to actually give us that kind of approximation. So, unfortunately, you have what can only be described as a zombie with a pre-psychotic rage as he goes smashing through a steel door, knocking it off its hinges. You're sort of like, yeah, that actually takes some doing. Also, the guy is built like the frickin' Terminator. Like, covered in blood. And kind of gnarly face. But, you know. Best way to deal with that level of crazy is to just, drop a bone saw to his head. And unfortunately, the dean himself gets killed from all this crazy. So, with this madness piling up, Kane and Wes have to figure a way to resolve this, publicate the findings, and prove that we have tampered in God's domain that is not only possible, but is completely feasible. Do the boys succeed at this? Are some people questioning the ethics revolving around this experiment? How much Cara syrup did all this cost? So, yeah, when you have all those factors in, I'd like to point out that this was a close to $900,000 budget. At least that's what it was projected at. And Re-Animator pulled in over $2 million, making almost more than half of its money on the opening weekend, October 20th, 1985. The special effects department spent over 25 gallons of fake blood during the shoot. That means that's anything from the gag gore effects to how many extras are covered in this substance, which, admittedly, it will turn your frickin' stomach. And if it didn't, wow, you have a greater constitution than I, because I'm sitting there going, nope, trying to hold in the vomit. Whew. And, in general speaking, most folks have an issue with this film. A lot of contents. Ladies, I'm going to be perfectly honest. For some reason, there's a creepy, premeditated rape scene. Nothing on the sense of, they're not showing like an X-rated visual or anything of that nature, but it is under some really disturbing light. Enough for you to sit there and go, okay, yeah, I never need to ever think about that ever. Now, again, I got to point out some of these amazing performances. David Gale, who had portrayed Dr. Carl Hill, which, amusing enough, he and Jeffrey Combs ended up working together again on the unfortunate The Guyver live-action movie. That was a little painful. And, but what's so funny is David Gale has this level of pausing that I don't know what the best way to describe it. It just kind of cracks you up because he'll start. It just like he keeps taking these deeper breaths just so he can further advocate just how pissed he is, and you see spittle flying off his face at that point. You're just going, okay, that's a little different, but fine. But, in all intents and purposes, I love how Jeffrey Combs' portrayal never seems to see the light of how disturbing the context of what he's working on. That's never an issue for him. And the fact that you're not picking up on this and you're treating this as a proper scientist you seem to be off. And that is the weirdest part of this. Poor Barbara Crampton. Oh my God, this girl is dead on. It's like everyone's like always talking about the cliche scream queen aspect, and you're going, no, she's having a genuine reaction to what can only be described as a severe collection of fucked up. I mean, there are headless corpses walking about. We have just people in certain levels of just physical decay and destruction, and you're going, what in God's name has this been all about? And yeah, some folks are having issues with this. But I found interesting trivia about this. Case in point, the composer, Richard Band, went over schedule for about 2 days composing the score, and as a direct result of this, he had to drop $1,500 of his own money to finish said score, which is eerie, clever, and oh God, it'll actually make your skin crawl. That was kind of weird is the opening theme kind of just feels like it's been borrowed from Psycho. And we see it's an original opening theme by Bernard Herrmann, and boy, I know way too much information sometimes. The funniest aspect from what the cast and crew established is the brains in the severed head were actually just meat byproducts or ground beef stuffed with fake blood. So as they shoot the scene for the autopsy room of the severed head being thrown out the door and then smashing it against the hallway wall, all the crew apparently behind the cameras are wearing garbage bags over their clothing because no one knows just how much splatter is actually going to occur. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, if that's your Sunday best, I would do that too. That makes perfect sense. But a lot of people establish that this isn't completely as accurate as the original short story. The film is loosely based on the first half of the original short story. The deaths, the reanimations, decapitations, and other reanimations. There is actually a sequel referred to as Bride of the Re-Animator, which, again, another loose interpretation. In the actual story, it was two doctors reanimating corpses during World War I. Now, as the story itself was a modern era 1985, this gets bumped up to a Peruvian civil war. But, again, the context is still the same. They're reanimating individual body parts and stealing cadavers and resorting to just, flat-out murder for fresh corpses. And the outbreak in question has former experiments in an insane asylum. And it just gets disturbing as crap. I mean, and of course, I believe there is a third film in the series referred to as Beyond Re-Animator, which quite literally goes past the original story. So, well, titled, I suppose. And, what's interesting enough is Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton, Robert Sampson, who played the dean, and even director Stuart Gordon, all visited an insane asylum and a morgue as kind of like a mental preparation for the film. I mean, in Barbara Crampton's case, spoilers, she has to be buck bare on a cold metal examination table. So, kudos. But in all intents and purposes, this is a very dark film. There is a lot of gore gags, and there is some really just bent sense of humor attached to this. What made me crack up is one of Arnold's stunt doubles for 14 flicks. I mean, he has worked with Arnold's since The Terminator to Jingle All the Way. So this gentleman, I know these are spoilers. Wah, get over it. Or, move on. The gentleman in question, his name is Peter Kent, and wow, all I gotta say is this guy clearly works out. It was actually kind of terrifying to see how well built this cat was. The only thing we didn't see was things swaying, and I'm going, that might have something to do with the fact that it's We're shooting in a morgue. It may be a little cold. Or maybe they gave him the obligatory cock sock. I don't know. But, yeah, no, on all intents and purposes, like I said, this is just this horrific story that has a very comical standing, and it kind of feels like it actually is more of like a take on Frankenstein as like some goofy parody. It's like they really kind of pulled themselves away from what it was. That being said, though, for your gore fans, for your H.P. Lovecraft fans, you're going to get a good ride out of this. You're going to have some fun. Because, in all intents and purposes, it is just disturbing. Oh, the funniest aspect, I could never figure out why David Gale's hair looks so crappy. I'm going to say, right, it looks like they put a wig on him. Turns out the guy was made to shave his head and wear this toupee. It was revealed that because of budgetary reasons, there was no money available to match his hair with this prosthetic head prop. So, yeah, Gale, apparently this amazingly good sport, jumps on board with it's like, okay, what the hell. The funniest aspect is I finally found out what the stupid formula, the reagent, as they kept calling it. It turns out it is glow stick liquid to give that glowing effect. This eerie effect that I just assumed they dropped like a very small LED light around it or behind it. No, it's the actual glow stick liquid. And you're going, oh, okay, so it's a reagent and predator blood. Okay, well, this is good to know. But yeah, again, that's all I got for it right now. And if you have any suggestions, any updates, any comments, hell, if you've got a recommendation for me to just watch and I get that what the fuck moment from it, yeah, I'm down for it. So shoot me a message. Hit me up on Facebook. Hit me up on the comments section. Let me know if I should drag Sean in by the hair and force him to watch some of these turds. Okay, take it easy. Bye.